Hey, friends.
Hey guys, thanks for joining us. Brian and Andrea here.
We wanted to invite you into a conversation that we were having while we were on a walk with our dogs this morning. And now it's saying that we're live. So
Woohoo!
we know that we're definitely on now, but we wanted to invite you into a conversation that we were having on our walk this morning. Now, we recognize this is a hot topic.
Ooh, so volatile.
And so let's play nice together on the playground. Okay. That's our request. What I loved is at the last during the last election, shortly before the election was held, actually, my sister reached out to me, and I so appreciated her phone call because we have differing beliefs. Totally fine. Doesn't change how we love each other and the depth of our relationship. But she's like, "Can we just talk about this? Explain to me why you believe the way that you do or feel the way that you do about these topics and these subjects." And it was the best conversation between two people who had very differing views on what we were discussing, but it was helpful. And so that's what we are engaging in right now. So last night, I pulled up the Republican National Convention because honestly, I wanted to hear what President Trump had to say. And it was before he started speaking, and there's all the hoopla and all that going on. So I was just waiting and kind of turning it on, turning it off, turning it on, turning it off. And then I turned it on, and there's a video that was playing. And I'm like, oh, this is a really great video. It's showing all these things that he did throughout his lifetime. And I was like, this is really cool. This is informative. I like this. And then it turned toward being a little disparaging, not a little, being a lot disparaging toward our current president. And that grieved my spirit. Now, do I agree with President Biden? I don't. Do I believe that he's leading our country? My personal opinion is I don't think he is, even now. Do I believe that he would be capable of being in a position of leadership in the next 4 years after this? I don't. And it hurt my heart to see how he acted, how he was even after the last debate and helped off the stage. And it hurt my heart for him. It really did.
Yeah,
And then when everything happened with the attempted assassination, or the assassination attempt, I should say, on
on
President
Trump.
on Trump, um, again, it hurt my heart. And I would have felt the same no matter the candidate. I don't care whether it would have been Trump or Biden or Kennedy, whoever. It hurt my heart. And it
Yeah,
absolutely hurt my heart that an innocent bystander was killed in that. And
trying to protect his family.
yeah. And so, really, what all of this has drawn me to, so let me back up a second, talk a little bit more about last night's Republican National Convention and my response to it. So, I was disheartened. I shut it back off again. And then I turned it back on, caught Melania walking in, okay, turned it back off again. And then I turned it back on again, thinking that Trump would be speaking at that point. And instead, it's Kid Rock coming out, and he's throwing his fist up in the air, and he's like, fist up in the air, and then he's fight, 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 fight. And
I didn't watch it, so I didn't see any of it.
I watched about 30 seconds of it because my heart grieved so deeply that I shut it off and I didn't even turn it back on. So I haven't watched anything that Trump said last night. And it's because what hurt my heart was this aspect of it felt so divisive to me. Now, that being said, what I long to do is pray for our nation. I long to pray for our political leaders. I pray for Biden. I don't agree with him, don't believe in how he has led our country. That doesn't mean I don't pray for him. And it's not manipulative prayers of what I think should be prayed. It's prayers of blessing. It's prayers of asking for God to give him wisdom as he is set in as a ruler in our nation.
I often pray that this is my exact prayer, that they would know God,
Yeah.
that they would have an encounter with God, and they would righteously rule from the seat that they've been given in response to knowing God.
So even last night, watching the things that were grieving my heart, my prayer for President Trump would be that or let me try it again. My prayer for President Trump, if I can stop tripping over my words, was that he would have an even deeper encounter with God in a way that would bring even greater humility in his life. Here's the bottom line: there is not a single person walking on the face of this planet that couldn't use a little more humility in their lives, myself included. Okay? We can all walk more humbly before God. And so I'm not stipulating this is how it should be and this is how it should happen. I pray a prayer for him that I would pray for myself. And what I was also praying for was our nation overall, that our nation would return to our foundation of one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hmm.
Go ahead.
No, as I go through it, you talked about how they would, I forgot what the terminology you used, but when they pick on one side, both sides do it. And that's what grieves me, is that these are actually God's kids who are created,
Mm-hmm.
that were dreamt about by Jesus, and the good works that they could do. Doesn't mean they're doing good works, but what could be done. And so when you degrade someone, period, um, doesn't matter who, it sets up for everything wrong and bad.
Yeah.
And that you point to what could be good, what could happen. Hey, they may have these tendencies, but you point out where they're going, what could take place.
Well, and we talked about as we were walking how we get it in a political race. They're going to do everything they can to position themselves with all of their strengths and make sure to communicate that really clearly, and then do everything they can to highlight the weaknesses of their opponent because they need to prove the point that they're the better, more qualified candidate for the position.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's right.
Doesn't mean it's right. The funny thing too is that truth will speak for itself.
All right. You have taught me that. And over even the last year and a half, that's a message that you've spoken to me, and I've watched it unfold.
Yeah. I mean, it wants to be known. It's a solid. Truth is eternal, and that when if someone is saying, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, they end up being called a liar if they don't. But truth will reveal itself.
Yeah.
What they said that they will do, when it happens, it will reveal itself. It will come out. It will be known. And so if they say I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and if they don't, we will end up knowing it. And when you can usually tell that something is really off, when what was said about what they were going to do never takes place, it's never discussed, there's no evidence of it. And so, yeah, it's going to be known. It's going to. So,
Yeah. And I think what saddens my heart also is the recognition of corruption within our political system.
yeah.
And so, with that, to pray into the truth being known.
Righteous decisions, decisions that are not based on self gain and gain for a political party, that to be done for the good of the people and the nation. And that truth, I mean, in a sense, I guess, as a country, we're all board members. We are.
Okay, really?
I mean, we are, but it's our responsibility to propel the nation, to vote and to act and then to care for, and that it's not something to sit back and watch.
Well, we all also have realms and areas of governing that are our responsibility. And so from that standpoint, I get that. And I get the aspect of um, having things that you are a director over.
Yeah. So if one of the things that really bothered me over the last election and over a bunch of these elections are a lot of the prophetic words. And that not that the words are wrong or bad, but the people sit back.
Takes responsibility and action off the shoulders of the people who are listening.
Yeah, they sit back and they're like, yeah, this is what's going to happen. We're going to be great. This is going to go this way, and we're going to win. We're going to whoop you, are nothing but evil. And then there is no responsibility to be a participant within that word. Like a church says, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to feed the hungry. We're going to go out and we're going to clothe the naked. If the church says that, but yet no one in that body gets up to go out and feed
Mm-hmm.
and be a part of what's being done, then that church ends up being a liar. It ends up lying. It ends up not presenting the truth and walking in it, and things can collapse. But they're like, but we heard God's word to do it. But the people sat.
So it's not lacking good intention, but it's lacking action being taken.
Correct.
And so when you get a prophetic word, you should weigh and test it with the Lord. Is it definitely, something that is a word from the Lord? And then you contend for it and you act on it.
Yeah.
And if it is a word from the Lord, let me preface it with that. So I'm going to go back in our conversation and kind of wrap things up because I don't want this to get too long. But important points here. Number one, are you praying for those who are in authority in our nation? Are you praying for the current candidates? Are you praying for the upcoming election? Are you praying for our nation overall and her people? How are you blessing each of those areas of prayer points? Or are you cursing them with your words? Because life and death are in the power of the tongue. Choose life. So, what life are you choosing to speak over our current administration, over our nation as it is now? What are you birthing through the words that you speak, through what you are decreeing and declaring, through what you are prophesying over our nation? What are you building through what you're speaking?
One of the suggestions I have too is that you pray for all those seats that are going to be open and people are going to be voted into, that they would function together for righteousness, for the kingdom, to propel the people, to die to themselves, basically, to serve the nation rightly, and that they would partner together for the good of the people and not the good of the party and not the good of an outside agenda. And then if you get someone in the office who you don't like, really the best thing to do is to, again, God, that they would know you and rule out a response to knowing you and experiencing your presence, and that you are a God of righteousness. You long to protect, to feed, to care, to propel, to establish government that does good. And may that take place. And good may not be what you automatically see or think sometimes.
So, my point two that goes the next step then is what action are you being called to take? Because if you are just going to sit home and even behind your computer screen or your phone screen, you're going to rant and rail at all the things that are going on, but you are not taking personal responsibility and doing what you can in your hand to make a difference, then that's on you. So I'm just going to say, what actions are you taking? So number one, how are you praying? Number two, what actions are you taking? And with that, keep in mind that there are actually multiple elections. An election cycle in multiple nations throughout the world. And so remember to pray globally as well. Really important.
Can I say one last thing?
Yep.
You're going to be with people who will speak bad, who will say things that are off, that will degrade someone's character and personality. Be be the right person in that moment. Hey, let's only do what's right. Let's God created that person. Let's honor that person. We may not like them, but let's speak out what God would say, what Jesus would do, and let's do that. And you'll see how you change the atmosphere. And it's not to degrade someone else. Think of it this: you're teaching to honor what God honors, what God likes.
I love that.
And loves.
And hey to our friend Linda Sazier, thanks for hopping on with us. Love you, sweet friend. All right, y'all, we bless you. And we're going to go off now because our son is now in the bathroom behind us and playing his music, and it's probably coming through the microphone. So have a great day.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.